Sequina County, it's a flash flood warning from heavier rain that we had earlier on. Let me just shift eastward if I can. Let's go look at the storm cell a little bit farther east than this one. And this one is now really moving over Carthage. We had a severe thunderstorm warning on this earlier, but it looks like it's a little bit less intense. Now, you may disagree if you're in Carthage going through this storm. We do know there's quite a bit of lightning, some rain, some small hail. I noticed some penny-sized hail when I was watching this storm a little while ago. This is also moving off to the east. We think this is going to be out of our viewing area probably in the next 20 or 30 minutes. We'll watch it to see if any additional warnings are put out. Atala and Holmes counties are getting some just steadier rain right now, but the most active part of this disturbance, and literally you're looking at the whole disturbance, folks, the most active part of the disturbance that's moving through is right there, coming out of southern Sharkey County and into the southwestern part of Yazoo County. It is a small area that we're talking about geographically, but we've got the circulation right in here. I mean, this shows up vividly on radar, and Peyton was circling before the wind flow on it. Now, the one complication we have, we are over a very heavily wooded area. It's also rural, so we don't have anybody on the ground that's going to basically tell us right now there's a tornado in front of them, unless they happen to be in the right place at the right time and they've got adequate communications. But what are you seeing right now on this particular storm cell, Peyton?
I mean, exactly what you were saying. It's moving away from Highway 61 in Sharkey County, but again, this is far south of Rolling Fork, so this does not include the city of Rolling Fork. This does not include Cary or Kelso. This is going to stay east of you, and in fact, this is moving away from those locations. It's going to be a concern going forward into Yazoo County. We'll see how things develop out towards that way, because of course they've weakened and then just posed more of a damaging wind and hail threat. We'll see if this storm is going through maybe one of those cycling processes. Right now it still shows some signs of some rotation just south of Highway 16 in Sharkey County, right over the Delta National Forest. We're looking at the wind flow right now. We're kind of far away from the radar, so we may not have the best picture of the actual wind flow and the rotation itself. I'm backing up a couple of on the loop, a couple of scans to see the rotation previously and how that matches up now. May not look the best, and in fact it may be weaker than maybe just a couple of minutes ago, but regardless, if you live anywhere within this red polygon, I'll take off the radar so you can get a better picture. I would even include Satarsha in this as well. Go ahead and get in your tornado safe place, lowest level of a sturdy structure, your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible if we did have flying debris.
Yeah, I would advise that as well, only because of where this is situated. We've seen them moving eastward. There is a little bit of a southward nudge to some of this activity as well. You've got the big Sunflower River out here, just to give you some reference points. You've also got 12 Mile Bayou Road and a couple of other spots. Dump Lake is in front of this. So I'm giving you a lot of rural locations. If you're a hunter or you're into fishing, you know what I'm talking about right now as far as these locations. The actual storm cell has just got that hook right here. So it's got a pretty good depiction, and that's exactly where we would expect there to be a tornado at this point. Again, though, it's in a very remote area, but as it starts to come out of the Delta National Forest, it will encounter roads, and there will be homes, and there will be also some more population, especially as we start working our way over towards the Satarsha area and Highway 3. But between there and where we are right now, there's still quite a bit of distance on this storm. It's moving about 30 miles per hour, which isn't terribly fast. That does make me feel a little better in some sense, and I'll tell you why, because we don't have these storms kind of getting going with the wind. We don't have 70, 80 mile per hour wind gusts necessarily, but I know, Peyton, you were looking at winds a little while ago, and I could have sworn, I remember you and I were just talking off camera, there were some 65 mile per hour winds that you were detecting in some of these storms. So there's certainly going to be the potential for damage out of these storms, regardless of whether we have a tornado or not. We still have a very active scene developing right now. This is Yazoo City right here. So just to give you a little reference point, Yazoo City will be north of where this tornadic cell is located. It's just going to be to the north, literally just to the north. And the cell is moving eastward, but again, there's a little bit of a southward nudge to its direction, at least at this point in time. We'll pay attention to that because, as you know, when you're talking about tornadic cells like that, they can change direction, they can change intensity, and they don't move in straight lines. So we don't want to get tricked into just believing that that's going to be the actual eventual path. But
and they just trimmed this back and up the hill size.
Well, let's take a look at the hail
golf ball.
scan on it real quick, and maybe we can give a better idea as to what folks, well, yeah, there you go. So we're looking at quarter-size hail. We're flirting with ping-pong-size hail near the Cara community, and it looks like another area of hail is getting dumped out very close to the back end of this cell. We are running a couple minutes behind on hail because it takes time to process what it is. It comes back, obviously, as a different type of reflection on the radar than a regular raindrop does, but there is now some larger hail in this, and we have pulled back the backside of the tornado warning. At least now we're cutting across the Delta National Forest. We're no longer on Highway 61, and you can still see we've still got some geography here in front of it for this actual storm cell as it keeps moving off to the east. The hook is less pronounced to me, Peyton. I don't know if you agree with that, but I do see some nodes here in the tornado warning area that I would not want to let my guard down on just yet. So what should you do? If you're in Yazoo County, pay attention right now to what's happening with this storm. If you live between Yazoo City, Little Yazoo, Bentonia, back over to the Sartarsha area, I would be right now have that plan ready to go. And what does that mean? Know where the lowest point of your home is if you're watching us from home, and also make sure that you get away from windows in case there's flying debris. Now is the time. You got a few minutes on your side. It's moving slow enough where you can actually take some precautions ahead of time. If you've got a helmet, for the kids especially, get those helmets ready for them in this particular area. And if you have a car that's exposed to the elements, it might not be a bad idea in this area to get the car into a carport now or into the garage before this storm actually pops up over you. So just want to show you. So Tarsha, we're still thinking about 550, 554 for the arrival time of the storm cell, and then over to about the Valley community, which is a little bit farther north and east on Highway 3. That would be closer to 6 p.m. So again, it's moving at a clip that we can actually give you a decent warning. I will say Yazoo City, the heavy rain is just about to move in right now, but that's a different part of the storm. That's the eastern flank of this storm. The actual tornadic cell is sitting on the southwest side of it. We just updated the scan there. We still have a hook showing up on the radar about to cross the river here, south of Campbellville and near the Kearney area. So this is something we're still paying attention to. You can see there's some pretty heavy reflection coming back over the Delta National Forest. That is likely hail that we are seeing from this vantage point. You know, we're getting a few thousand feet up in the sky here with the radar beam, so we're probably picking up some hail there. We just showed you there was some relatively larger hail coming out of the cell to begin with. So this will continue moving eastward. You've got Sartarsha Road here. So Sartarsha Road is in front of this, but again, hail is becoming a little more widespread with the actual tornadic cell. This tornado warning goes until 6 o'clock this evening. It goes for about another 35 minutes almost, should it hold together. But it will be eventually moving into some more populated areas. You've got Yazoo County High School, which the good news is the school's already out for the day with the time that we're dealing with, but you've got basically Highway 49 here, Highway 49 West, and you've got this storm cell that is moving more eastward. So we've got a pretty good rectangle tornado warning on the screen for you here. It's a narrow one at that, but this is where the worst of the weather is. In the orange, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging wind and also hail, and we've just shown you the hail that continues to fall out of the sky. It's a pretty good size on that storm. So I'm not seeing any other things right now. Just checking here to see if we're getting any more information. Around the Holly Bluff area, it looks like we're starting to get some rough weather. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm not receiving any new information on my side either, which no news is most of the time good news.
That's exactly right. Right now, we've got about a population, it looks like, at least in the Holly Bluffs area, about a little over 400 people right now at greatest risk from the storm. We'll be adding a few more hundred should the tornado warning encompass more of Sartarsha and get over closer to Yazoo City. So it's something we're paying attention to. Again, this is that one storm that's kind of plaguing us right now. We had the other one that we had a severe thunderstorm warning on that was over Carthage now, and that warning was canceled out because the storm dropped below severe limits. Again, some rough weather falling across parts of the area. The scan just updated there. We still see a little bit of a hook on the southwestern flank of the actual storm cell here. Let's go to the bigger view if we can. I just want to show folks that are not under this tornado warning what you can expect, what you're dealing with. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Metro Jackson and northward. And that's going to go until 11 o'clock this evening. This is what it looks like on the screen there. And that includes the Jackson metro area, over through Forest, back through Vicksburg, and northward as well, encompassing many counties in central Mississippi. This goes up into Attala County as well. This is a very odd-shaped severe thunderstorm watch. The reason it's configured this way, folks, is because this is a very small weather disturbance that's moving through. This is not anything that's going to cause widespread severe weather across the area. If you live near Highway 84, there's a few showers out there, but they're failing to achieve anything. You can see they're just not holding together all that well. And the activity that's over Lee County right now, while there is red on the screen, that indicates heavy rain. That storm is also continuing to move eastward, and I think we'll probably have this out of here in the next 30 minutes or so. This is the storm that we call an overachiever. And the reason we call it that is because the atmosphere isn't all that prime for severe weather this evening, but there's a couple pockets. And this particular storm is taking advantage of the atmosphere that it has available to it. I think part of the reason, too, is it's open to the south. And what does that mean? It's getting that southerly flow of wind that's coming in, and there's nothing blocking it, so it's unrestricted. So right now it's tapping into the fuel. It's not all that impressive looking from what it was, but again, there's a hail threat with this because we are detecting relatively decent sized hailstones with this particular storm. You've got a lot of red in there, you've got some purple in there too, but the core of this storm remains, at least right now, over the Delta National Forest. And this will start getting into more populated places the farther east that this storm cell makes it. Again, a tornado warning until 6 p.m. this evening for southwestern Yazoo and southern Sharkey counties, as a radar is indicating a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This is now getting to about 15 to 17 miles southeast of Rolling Fork. Rolling Fork, you're not included in this tornado warning, which is fortunate for you. It's the last thing you need right now. But you could see that this potential tornado at least, is still moving off to the east. So if you live in this red shaded box, take it seriously. Again, get away from windows, go to the lowest floor of wherever you are watching us at this point in time, and take precautions so to minimize your risk to any kind of damage or injury. The rest of the map is really quiet. I mean, this really is kind of a lone storm, a rogue storm, if you will, that's out there. Now, if you live in Yazoo City, you're getting heavy rain right now. And I see they just pulled back the severe thunderstorm warning on the screen. So now it almost mirrors where this tornado warning is. And we're continuing to scan the radar. We have not received any additional reports at this point telling us that there's damage going on or there's an actual tornado on the ground. But again, as I stressed when we went on the air right away, it's in a tough spot right now because it's over the Delta National Forest. There aren't a lot of people in the area to even see if there's a tornado currently on the ground out there. But we're staying on the air because there is a tornado warning in effect. We also want to see what happens with this storm cell because it's the most active storm cell we have right now on the radar. Meteorologist Peyton Garrison joining me for the coverage here. We continue to watch this. Peyton's been watching the radar most of the afternoon. That's why she's got her glasses on. She's smart like that. Me, I'm continuing to watch the radar with you as well. And what are you seeing from your standpoint, Peyton?
Well, when the warning was issued a short time ago, the storm looked a lot more impressive. It showed better signs of rotation, a little bit of a tighter couplet, if you will, just the inflow and the outflow where we could have a possible tornado. Of course, this is only radar indicated right now, but just looking at radar currently as where we could have a possible tornado about to cross into the far western side of Yazoo County, it does not look nearly as impressive. It's impressive enough where we still have a tornado warning in effect, but I'm going to the wind field to see where that warning or where the rotation would be located, and it's almost hard to locate considering it looks like the rotation itself may have broadened out. Yeah. I'm going back a couple of scans looking at where it was looking more impressive versus where we're currently standing at. So maybe this is good news. Of course, maybe it's going a cycling phase where it could be weakening and then maybe it matures itself back up. We'll have to see if that happens. But right now we may be looking at positive news out towards this way.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing that a lot of folks need to understand when it comes to these tornadoes is that they don't always act the same for long periods of time. They're an engine, so they're taking up energy, putting out energy. And so what happens is sometimes they're going through that cycling mode where they're scooping up the energy from the atmosphere, and then other times they're putting out that energy. And I do want to point out, Peyton, if I can get you to put on the hail track for real quick, I'm seeing some golf ball size hail now. So we're getting into some larger hailstones out of this, and this is going to continue moving southeastward. So if you live in Sartarsha, and I told you this a few minutes ago, let me remind you again, if your car's out and you got a carport, okay, or maybe you have a garage. You got a few minutes right now. I'd move it quick if you can, just to get some safety for your vehicle. But I wouldn't spend too much time out there until the storm gets on you, and that's probably going to happen in the next 15 minutes or so. So give yourself a few minutes here if you can, if you want to protect your car. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Right now, this is coming across the Sunflower River. It's going to continue moving into western areas of Yazoo County, and that's Satarsha Road right here, just to give you some perspective. So the storm is getting closer and closer to western Yazoo County as we speak. I will say this, it is a pretty nasty looking storm too. You can see lots of red, lots of purple on the screen. That indicates heavy rain normally. The purple, I will tell you this, normally I would say that represents extreme rain, but I think in this case, it's pretty much a safe bet that we are looking at some large hail, and that's what's reflecting back as purple on the screen right now. So this is the area that we're watching. This is the node that's been pretty consistent, wouldn't you say? That continues to move west to east and is now entering the extreme western portion of Yazoo County. I think this will clear Sharkey County here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, but this is going to keep going into Yazoo County unless we see this broaden out to the extent that it can't come back. What happens is when they broaden out, what Peyton was talking about, when they broaden out, that circulation is not nearly as tight. When a circulation is tightening, that is letting us know, okay, it's trying to either put out a tornado or it's actually, to use some slang here, it's tornadoing, all right, at that moment. So at this point in time, we're seeing it doing the opposite. It's broadening out, but I would not write this off at this point in time because, like I said, it tightened up to the point where we did get a indication that it was capable of producing a tornado. I'm also seeing this. I feel like it's slowing up a little bit, Peyton. Just the last few scans, I haven't seen it moving as much eastward, and that could be part of the cycle too that we're seeing here. So it looks like the cell is kind of getting stuck right here. And that's where it's also producing some hail. So it could be really just blobbing out in that area where it's just getting really tall in the atmosphere, which is why it's developing large hail. You got to have a tall thunderstorm, folks, to get large hail. And so this storm actually might be growing vertically, but may not have the best development, at least on the surface, right this moment. And that's unfortunate. We kind of have to do play-by-play when we're talking about these tornadoes and severe thunderstorms because they change, they morph over the Mississippi countryside in just a matter of minutes. And so they take on different shapes and configurations. Again, this is not something that's organized with a cold front that's coming through. This is a disturbance in the atmosphere where there's been a few thunderstorms that have been able to pop up, arms of this disturbance, if you will, that have been able to pop up this afternoon. And that's why we've been seeing some rough weather. I'll tell you, they've been getting just a bunch of rain around Rolling Fork much of the day. I know, Peyton, you were here covering this at noon today. And they've just been getting some rough weather in the lower Delta most of the afternoon, right?
Especially out towards, Issaquena, Sharkey counties, just training heavy rainfall for hours on end. It looks like the severe threat has held off until this evening and late this afternoon, which has been expected across our northernmost areas. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for all of the Jackson metro counties. You see shaded on in pink on your screen. Again, generally along and north of I-20. This is a very small disturbance, and we are only tracking one severe storm right now, which unfortunately does have that tornado warning attached to it. We did have one severe thunderstorm, which is currently over Leake County. It is much weaker now, and that will be moving out of Leake County here very, very shortly. But the one storm we're watching right now, and probably the only storm from here on out through this evening, is right over the Sharkey and Issaquena County line. I can say that the circulation itself not looking nearly as impressive, but if you're still located out towards Satarsha, over Highway 3 south of Yazoo City, I would still advise to get in your tornado safe place in the instance that this does possibly ramp back up. We've seen several storms over the past several years where they've gone through this cycling phase. It doesn't look nearly as impressive right now, but that does not mean that it doesn't ramp back up. It tightens back up and could produce a tornado, but we have not had any ground truth or any radar indication truth that we have had a confirmed tornado on the ground. This is solely radar indicated only, but it's still a pretty nasty storm. Heavy rainfall, frequent lightning will be likely, in addition to hail, maybe up to the size of golf balls, which could be a concern and could cause issues on its own.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Peyton, I'm looking at this here, and a community called Holly Bluff is very close to where the rough weather is taking place right now. So if you live near Holly Bluff or Lake George, for instance, that's where we have the worst of this weather being experienced currently. You can see it's not nearly as bad anymore over the Delta National Forest, but the storm continues to move eastward now, and this is Satartia Road. It's going to be crossing over Satartia Road here in about the next 10 minutes or so. That's where we believe the circulation is. We haven't been getting any kind of overly impressive returns on the radar, except we've been getting a steady kind of hook, wouldn't you say, out of this particular area that's been going on now for the past few days. So you could see that this is definitely continuing to work its way out of this area and move farther eastward at this point in time. Tornado warning in effect until 6 o'clock this evening, or if they cancel it sooner based on observations from radar or observations from on the ground. And right now I can tell you we haven't had anybody on the ground reporting anything. We just have that this is really impacting the Holly Bluff area of Mississippi and areas close to the Sunflower River, as well as Lake George. A new scan indicates a couple things to me. I still see a well-formed hook right there, but I also see some large hail that's showing up now as a radar return, and that makes sense. That's golf ball size hail that is now headed for Highway 3. So this is going to be just north of Satartia proper if you work it out here and keep moving it east. Tornado warning was just updated on the screen there, which means they are keeping it on the screen. They're keeping it in effect, but at the same time, just letting you know, they're also trimming it back just a little bit to incorporate less of an area. So that's the new development there that just happened on your screen.
They've upped the hail to 2-inch in size.
That makes sense. So this looks like this storm is really becoming efficient on its hail right now, and so that's why we continue to monitor that from that standpoint. We're also looking at the wind fields. We're scanning the winds. We're not seeing an overwhelming contrast, but we are seeing it nonetheless. You know, I'm going to hitch up on this, Peyton, but maybe we 3D slice it at some point if that gives us any kind of indication. But for the moment, you can see the storm is well put together here as it's moving out of Sharkey County and going into Yazoo County right now. And that's where we've got the heaviest rainfall. So what are we doing here? All right, this is where we 3D the storm. We can actually take you into the storm. We turn the storm on its side and we can take a look at it. What I can tell you is we're getting up here to about 40,000 feet in the atmosphere. That is 8 miles up in the sky. All right, and when you do that, what do you look for? Well, you look to see if there really is a large hail problem, and there is, because the returns are actually getting more intense the higher you get up in the sky. So what's happening here is you've got the warm, moist southerly flow coming into the storm. It's taking that moisture, it's lifting it all the way up into the sky. We're talking, let's just say for argument's sake, we're going about 7 miles up in the sky here. I'm doing quick math. So you're going to be talking about, while our temperature at the surface is 75 degrees, right here, it's below zero. You heard me. It's below zero at the top end of the storm. So that moisture that's being lifted up, it's getting heavier, it's icing, it's turning into large ice, and it's coming back down to the ground, and that's what we're seeing there. It's called a hail spike right on your screen, and that indicates a large hail at that's falling from the sky. So you take moisture, you put it up into the sky at around 0 degrees, guess what happens? It gets too heavy, becomes very thick because of the ice, and it comes back down to the earth as hail, and that's what's going on with this storm right now. That's the regular view of the storm, just to give you an idea. Again, tornado warning in the red shaded box here, and this will go until 6 o'clock this evening. Still a large hail core coming out of it. That's indicated right here. And then south of that is where we believe the tornadic portion of this storm is located. And again, we're still in an area where we're not encountering much in the way of population, but it's a serious enough situation where this tornado warning remains warranted for much of the area. And that includes the Enola area and Holly Bluff and just barely nudging into Satartia in Yazoo County right now. Southwestern Yazoo County, please be on alert. This is where we have a tornadic threat that remains in effect, a tornado warning until 6 o'clock this evening. The storm is right now located a good distance southwest of Yazoo City, and we expect it to remain south of Yazoo City proper as it continues moving eastward. The question is, what will it hold together as? Will it just be a severe thunderstorm with large hail? Golf ball size hail, I might add, or as Peyton just indicated, the hail size is now up to 2 inches. That's some pretty large hail that we're starting to see out here. So if you live along Satartia Road, you're going to be seeing that hail yourself in the next couple of minutes. Right now, 5:43 is our time. Just checking here, latest communications. Good news is I'm not seeing anything from anybody. Peyton, looks like this is just the one rogue storm that's out there right now. You've got debris tracker on there if you want to roll that and just to see. And it's hard to know what we're seeing right there, but there might be a little something right here in the middle of the screen.
It's hard to tell if that would possibly be debris. I've not seen any word on our National Weather Service chat, but that's something to maybe watch over time. Maybe in the next
Well, we got to get a
scans
few
here.
scans out. It lines up though, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. That's what could be concerning to me, but I mean, there's still definitely a decent hook and feature on this storm.
Right.
So
it's right there in the middle of the screen. I'm not seeing as much purple on the screen, which was a clear indicator of hail. But again, just like as I mentioned with a tornadic storm, when you have a severe thunderstorm that's putting out large hail, they will also cycle up and down in intensity and may not have that same configuration it had just a few minutes ago when we were 3D slicing it for you, just to show you what's going on. In the red box, though, we have a tornado warning in effect. If you're not familiar with this area, this is the southwestern corner of Yazoo County. Yazoo City is here. The storm, while the tornadic portion of the storm is likely to miss Yazoo City, the intense part of the storm is already over Yazoo City, where we're going to be getting some heavy rain and the potential for some hail is there as well. Our biggest concern remains from Satartia over through Enola and then back up to Campbellville and down through the Holly Bluff area. That's where we have the highest potential right now of getting any kind of severe weather over the next few minutes. This tornado warning goes another 15 minutes just about for this area. And you can see we don't have a lot of homes showing up there on our map scan of the area. This is the node, if you will, that is sticking out of the storm where there would likely be a tornadic cell. We are watching other parts of the storm too. We've seen other little outcroppings, if you will, but they haven't held together nearly as long as this one has. So this one's our prime target. The severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for southwestern Yazoo County and southern Sharkey County, that has now expired, being that it's 5:45, but we've got another 15 minutes or so to go on this tornado warning that is currently in effect for the area. We're going to continue to stay on the air as long as this tornado warning is in effect in our viewing area. If it goes away, we will then return you to regularly scheduled programming at that point in time. But until that happens, we just want to monitor that this storm continues to move eastward at around 30 miles per hour. Maybe what we can do is track it out, and you can see a new little configuration there on it. Just kind of dropped a little bit southward out of Yazoo City. But the storm is still moving eastward, and it's a slower mover compared to most of the storms that we watch. When we track these storms, we usually track them out, and we can track them anywhere from, they're moving so fast, 60, 70, 80 miles per hour at times. I'm talking about storms in just the last couple of weeks. But this one's a little different, so we think it's going to be closer to Satartia proper by 6 o'clock, Mechanicsburg 6:10, Anding 6:21, Bentonia 6:27, and Merleville at 6:37. That's when this storm will be closest to you. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll be tornadic, but down the line here, northern areas of Madison County, you probably should be paying attention to what's going on with this storm. We're going to be watching it for you regardless of whether we have a tornado warning or not on Wlbt News at 6. We're going to be tracking this particular storm out there, but there's not a lot else going on right now on the radar. This is Interstate 20 from the metro northward, and this is really the only area of concern that's out here from Yazoo City southward to Satartia. So this storm continues moving east and a little bit south of east. So I would tell you that, if you live from Canton over through Lake Caroline, Flora, and then over through Madison, let's keep paying attention to this storm, see how it behaves. But with sunset coming in about the next 90 minutes, some of the energy will be taken off the table at that point. so it won't have as much to work with. And again, this is a very small box now where this tornado warning is currently in effect. So it's just for the open country here of southwestern Yazoo County, but it is getting closer to Satartia. So if you're in Satartia, as a precaution, I would definitely get your plan going at this point right now. Get away from windows, get lowest floor of your home, and protect yourself from flying debris. And the reason I repeat that at times, and sometimes I repeat it ad nauseum, is because we have seen time and time again that where most injuries occur and most fatalities occur, it's because folks necessarily weren't in that favorable position away from windows or at the lowest floor. So that's that. I also want to point out, if you are without power right now, or you know somebody in the storm's path who might be concerned about being without power, we are streaming this tornado warning currently on our free First Alert weather app, so you can watch it there, and you can also watch it on our website. So should you lose power, you don't lose access to us or the weather information we're trying to provide you. So it's important to note that. And I know, Peyton, you've been tracking power outages throughout the afternoon and evening. We've been seeing them out there. They've been a pesky problem across our northernmost counties today, even just from the thunderstorms and really the heavy rain that we had.
Yeah, I mean, right now we've seen quite the increase. It's not too terribly high, especially compared to storms we have seen in the past couple of weeks, especially when you just think back to early last week. Right now we have around 2,100 customers currently without power across the state, most of those being along and north of I-20, especially out towards the lower delta, where we've seen some gusty storms so far this afternoon. And we had around 2 storms that we're keeping an eye on earlier, especially right around the 4 o'clock hour. One of those has fizzled out, and now we are just left with one. And this will probably be the last strong or even severe storm that we track from here on out through this evening. But again, we have this tornado warning, which continues for a portion of Sharkey County. But I will give Sharkey County the all clear, because the actual circulation itself, an area that we would be concerned of, is now in the far southwestern section of Yazoo County. But regardless, this warning goes until 6 o'clock. So we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do here in about 10 minutes. If they feel as the warning needs to be extended downstream, that would include more portions of Yazoo County and Highway 49 here over the next couple of minutes. But I mean, regardless, some heavy rain, frequent lightning is expected regardless if we did have a tornado on the ground.
Yeah, and there's about 400 people that are in this tornado warning right now. So it's been condensed quite a bit, the tornado warning size, but about 400 folks are actually in the path of the storm right now. So we want to continue to give you that warning, that first alert, to make sure you're extra prepared and you know what to deal with. The storm moving a little bit more eastward now, not seeing as much purple in it either in the last couple of scans, and that little node on the southern end of it doesn't look as prominent as it did just a short time ago, but this is getting very close now to Satartia. So it's going to be over Satartia, regardless whether it's tornadic or not. You're going to have a bad storm over Satartia, and that's Satartia Road there, just west of town, Highway 3, which goes north and south through Satartia at least, and this is where the weather now is starting to go downhill. We're giving you some roads now. We're getting a little closer in, and you can see, again, Satartia Road, Clear Lake Road, Dump Lake. I mentioned Dump Lake a few minutes ago about that was in the path of the storm. Black Bayou. We're seeing this is where the storm, the actual core of the storm is, and where the potential is there for the tornadic cell. You go a little bit farther east, I'll step off the screen so you can see it better. That's where you get into Satartia itself, and that's where we've got a larger population. But you can see this cuts right through Satartia, the border of the warning does. So we'll know at that point, as it gets a little bit closer to Satartia, whether this warning is going to be expanded or whether it's going to hold for this area. But we do have a lot more folks that live in the Satartia area, for instance, a more concentrated population, at least in this part of Yazoo County, which is relatively rural otherwise. The storm right now, just literally about 5 miles, if that, west of Satartia. It is moving more towards the east at this point. So we think the rough weather is going to be over Satartia anyway in the next few minutes. What I would tell you is a precaution, just get away from those windows. Again, stay low. All right, a bathtub is always a good resort if you're looking for a safe place to kind of ride out the storm. This is where we think we have the contrast in winds. When you see green and red, what does that mean? Well, what happens here on the radar is red means the winds are moving away from the radar screen, or the radar beam, I should say, and on the green, the wind is blowing towards the radar. So what happens is, think about it this way, wind blowing this way, and then wind blowing that way. And so in between is where you're going to have your circulation. And Peyton is picking out certain little markers inside the storm, trying to get a scan as to the winds. And she's been picking up 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We're a couple thousand feet off the ground in here. So if those are coming down to the ground, they're going to be blowing 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts out there easily from this particular storm cell. And I know she was looking at storms earlier when I was working with her behind the scenes, that she had 65-mile-per-hour wind gusts that she indicated with earlier storm activity. But now we're at 5:52. We've got 8 minutes, barely 8 minutes left for this tornado warning. Again, the cell is not moving all that much. It's been moving very slowly at around 30 miles per hour from west to east, and we do think it's going to cross Highway 3 here by about 6 o'clock or so. And they'll let us know at that point whether they're going to continue this tornado warning or let it expire at that time and just continue to track the storm. I like the fact that we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning going at the same time, because that just says, okay, the main threat right now is that tornadic part of the storm. Once that goes away, maybe it's no longer to be considered a severe storm to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, we can even look at hail. Still could see some hail. It doesn't look like it may be as large as golf balls, like it was very close to the Sharkey and Yazoo County line. But quarter-size hail still a possibility. That still considers it a severe thunderstorm. But again, we only have a tornado warning in effect out towards this way. The severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire at 5:45. Tornado warning, however, continues until 6 o'clock. So we've got about 6-7 minutes until this warning expires. We're still waiting to see if we will see another warning extended or be downstream of this current warning. Still seeing a decent circulation. We have that hook-like feature looking at the rain, how hard the rain is falling mode. This is just our reflectivity mode. So still seeing some heavy rain. You still see that hook-like feature I will draw out for you, where if we did have a possible tornado, it would be right in this area. The storm is moving very slow compared to other storms we see around here, 25-30 miles an hour. It should be crossing over Highway 3 here within the next few minutes, very close to Satarsha. This should stay south of Yazoo City. Good news for you, but those in Satarsha, please get in your tornado safe place right now, because again, we've been giving you the heads up for several minutes now, but the time is coming to an end where the circulation will be coming into the town of Satarsha.
So we've got 5 minutes left right now on this tornado warning. What will happen at 6 o'clock? Either the tornado warning gets extended, we'll stay on the air if it does, of course. Or what we'll do is we'll go to Wlbt News at 6. We'll continue to cover the storms on radar. And I do want to point out, Peyton, if we can, just to show folks what else is happening on the radar. Not a lot. It's actually relatively quiet at this point. We had some pretty heavy weather over Lee County about 20-30 minutes ago. That's left the area now. It's still raining pretty hard around Kosciuszko, most of Atala County. Holmes County, you're getting some light to moderate rain too. And I've seen showers drifting along Highway 84 near Brookhaven, Prentice, and Monticello. But this is this one pesky storm here that has continued to move eastward across the area at about 30 miles per hour. And Peyton and I jumped on the air right away when that tornado warning was issued about 40 minutes ago, it seems. And we haven't gotten a lot of ground truth reports out of it. It's been over a very rural area, a very heavily wooded area as well. So that's what we're looking at right now. This tornado warning goes for just a few more minutes, and you can still see it's just a very elongated storm that is sitting out there. Another development is we had a flash flood warning in effect for Issaquena and Sharkey counties from the rain earlier today. That was very impressive. That flash flood warning looks like that's also been removed off the screen. So we're down to one warning, and how ironic, it's a tornado warning of all things.
And it looks like they're just going to go downstream with a severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, so that gives us some clarity here as to where we're going to go in a few minutes. So if they go with a severe thunderstorm warning, we'll continue to cover it for you on WLBT News at 6. The rest of the area, though, at this point, does remain under a severe thunderstorm watch, and that's for much of central Mississippi. It includes the Jackson metro area, Humphreys, as well as Holmes counties. You're not in this watch, but we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for the metro area, including the Vicksburg region back through Forest. This goes until 11 o'clock this evening. They may cancel it earlier if the severe threat continues to diminish, But we still have these showers popping up. I'm looking here in Rankin County, for instance, and around Florence. We're getting a few showers now popping up. So don't let the rain fool you this evening. We were calling for some rain showers, that's for sure. Very small severe threat over the next couple of days. We were saying that the severe threat would be isolated, and it doesn't get more isolated than this. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We still have some heavier showers coming out of Pickens here. That's moving off to the east. But the heaviest stuff is located right now west of Satarsha, and this storm is going to be moving south and eastward. So the indication we just got, according to Peyton, is that they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning to cover the area that's going to be impacted by the storm in the next few minutes. So again, we're covering this until 6 o'clock this evening, folks. At 6 o'clock, we will join WLBT News at 6, where we'll continue to cover the severe threat to central Mississippi. Beyond that, though, we just don't expect anything widespread when it comes to severe weather this evening, and we're still scanning a lot of things here. Peyton's looking at the chat, which we use to see what other emergency managers are doing. So we now have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. This is for the Flora area, covers Scotland and Bentonia. A severe thunderstorm warning goes until 7 o'clock this evening, and that's an indication to me that this is a slow-moving storm, right? Severe thunderstorm warning will be in effect for the southwestern portion of Madison County and southwestern Yazoo County until 7 p.m. A severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. A severe thunderstorm located over Satarsha, 16 miles southwest of Yazoo City, and this is moving east at 30 miles per hour. So we've got consistency on that as it continues moving eastward. It's going to be near Bentonia at 6:05, Little Yazoo at 6:10, and Flora at 6:15. So a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for much of Yazoo County. This is south of Yazoo City, but this will replace the tornado warning that has been in effect for much of Sharkey and southwestern Yazoo County for the better part of the last 45 minutes. Peyton?
Yeah, I mean, we still have not had any confirmation of a tornado. Great news, but we still could see damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour, and they still have pretty large hail with this downstream severe thunderstorm warning. We could see winds or hail up to the size of golf balls. So still some large hail possible moving into maybe the far western side of Madison County.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to be an interesting storm to watch here over the next few minutes, but it is continuing to move south and eastward. Our protocol is if the tornado warning is canceled or expires, which it will do here in a matter of seconds, we will return you to regularly scheduled programming, but we will also continue to cover the storm threat to central Mississippi with more reports coming up over on WLBT News at 6. Of course, if there are additional tornado warnings, Peyton and I will be popping back on the air to tell you about it right away. We're here monitoring the situation for you, but the tornado warning that was in effect has now been canceled. Okay, so now we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Satarsha, Scotland, Bentonia, and Flora. This goes until 7 o'clock this evening. We're going to continue covering this storm over on WLBT News at 6. We'll break back into programming if necessary with future tornado warnings. In the meantime, for meteorologist Peyton Garrison, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dave Roberts, First Alert Weather.
This has been a First Alert Weather Update. We now return you to our regularly scheduled programming. WLBT News starts now with a